This is a second of two videos that I've developed around women in leadership. The first one was very much about the subtle differences between, but this one I want to really focus on what are the specific things that women need to do when they find themselves with the opportunity to be in senior leadership positions as managers, directors of businesses, or indeed board members, that they need to think about. That currently I think that as women, and certainly I'm a woman, as a director of business, you need to put a little bit of time, effort and energy into. There's 4 of them in total, and I'll start with the first one, which is around getting yourself a mentor. Now, when you start looking at and talking to senior managers who are male, often they've had a mentor from a very early age in their career. And we as women tend not to go looking for a mentor for a whole variety of different reasons. But I would really advocate that in terms of being successful, ambitious and aspiring to be a senior leader, that you get yourself a mentor and you think very carefully about who that mentor will be. Usually somebody who's older, not always though, wiser, lots of experience, probably in your own business or in your own area of interest, maybe outside possibly, but somebody that you can refer to, use as a sounding board, who gives you that other voice that you can listen to as and when you need it. The second area that I'd really like to focus on is getting yourself a coach. Again, we as women tend to be a little slow in coming forward in asking for what we need sometimes in terms of our professional career and development of that career. And to get yourself a coach for a short period of time at critical points in your career development, I would argue is fundamental. Now that coach can be internal to the business, somebody who has specific coaching skills, who might have had a coach themselves and can role model it and so forth. Or indeed somebody like myself who's external to the business, who has full qualifications in coaching and lots of experience that can actually help you develop new skills, new behaviours that you need in terms of progressing to the next stage in your career. Barbara Cassani, who set up Go, the cheaper airline to British Airways, and also then went on to be chief executive of the British Olympic Association, that with Sebastian Coe won the 2012 bid for London, said that her coach was her secret weapon, and I would completely agree with her there. Only for a short period of time, and once you know how to do it, then you find that you can actually self-coach a lot of the time. The third area that I think that we need to focus on is networking. And it's interesting because in a social environment, we as women network beautifully. We do it with our families and our friends and so forth, communicating all the time in a variety of different ways. But it's interesting when you start looking at how we do it in a business context. An example, LinkedIn. Less than 30% of LinkedIn participants are women. Now some of that is around how many women there are out there in business in certainly the sort of northern hemisphere, but actually I think there's something more to it than that. I think that we actually have to learn some very strong networking skills, and a phrase that I've become familiar with is around building your well before you're thirsty, and that's exactly what networking does. It enables you to have something that you can dip into as and when you need to, whether it be a promotion, a career change, or a movement to another organisation. Or indeed if you're actually after some additional information or advice for your current job, there are those network of people out there that you can tap into because you've bothered to build a network in the first place. Knowledge and experience that complements your mentor. And the final area is image and presence. And it's interesting because in terms of how we present ourselves and the image that we create, particularly that first impressions stuff is absolutely vital. And it differs very much from men. In terms of just a simple example, the uniform that we wear to work. Men quite usually a suit, collar and tie, with or without the tie, easy to remove, is generally the sort of norm. With women it's so much more complicated than that, and we really have to think about how we present ourselves and the image that we create in the different contexts. So those are the sorts of things that you need to think about from an image and presence perspective. So 4 areas: mentor, coach, networking, image and presence.